Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. So in today's head-to-head comparison, we're going to take a look at the latest generation for the Mercedes Benz S580 and the all-new 7 Series from BMW. Now this model is the i7. I will be driving the 760i in today's video. For the test drive portion, I'm strictly just using this as the visual since it is very identical to the 760i. We'll also go over both MSRPs once we get these out on the road so we can compare all the exterior and interior features for these ultra luxurious sedans. And to start off today's comparison, we're going to take a look at what powers each of these sedans. So for the S580, this has a 4-liter bi-turbo with the mild hybrid electric system. It's paired to a 9-speed automatic transmission and pumps out 496 horsepower, 516 pound-feet of torque. That's sent through the FOURRmatic all-wheel drive system. This weighs in right around 4,800 pounds. It'll do 0 to 60 in 4.4 seconds, and it has a fuel capacity of 22.2 gallons. You'll expect to see around 16 miles per gallon in the city and 25 out on the highway. Over on the 760i, this has a 4.4-liter twin-power turbo V8 paired to a 48-volt hybrid electric system and the 8-speed ZF automatic transmission. This pumps out 536 horsepower, 553 pound-feet of torque, sent through the xDrive all-wheel drive system, weighs in right around 5,000 pounds. It'll do 0 to 60 in 4 seconds, and it has a fuel capacity of 19.5 gallons. You'll expect to see around 18 miles per gallon in the city and 26 out on the highway. Now, as far as the overall wheelbase goes for the 7 Series, this is at 126.6 inches, and then it's 126.2 inches for the Benz, and the overall length is 212.2 and 208.2. Now, those figures are very, very similar, but as a visual representation, the 7 Series looks so much larger than that Mercedes Benz, but they are very, very identical. And we're going to move on now to the exterior styling. So for this particular S580, this has a lot of chrome for the front, very traditional design for this grille. It has all these sensors, the forward-facing camera, plenty of cutouts. There's more sensors along with more of the trim in the lower section. Gives it a really classy look. It obviously has LED headlights, DRLs, and turn signals, 2 Mercedes-Benz badges up top, but it has more of that luxury style to it. Whereas when we look at the all-new 7 Series, the kidney grills seem to be getting larger and larger. I think it does look pretty cool for the 7 Series. I will say that maybe some of this gloss black could be body colored just to make the grill stand out slightly more. But this also has a new design for the turn signals and DRLs, which are in the upper housing, and then the headlights and the high beams are in the lower section. This also has a forward-facing camera along with that sensor, so you can see it's a little bit more sleek than on the Mercedes, but I do like how the grille kind of goes right through it to hide it in a little bit more. There's plenty of cutouts in the lower section as well as cutouts in the side to provide a little bit more aerodynamics, and as you can tell, the front end is much taller and wider on the 7 Series than on this Mercedes Benz. But they both have a good style to them, just depending on what you'd like to see and what you'd like to have for personal preference. Now, as we work our way to the side for this Mercedes Benz, has a really nice set of 21-inch wheels. There's more chrome in the lower section. This even has body-colored side mirrors with all the technology there, a full panoramic sunroof as well, and then you can get a sneak peek at that interior. As we move back to the BMW now, this also has a set of 21-inch wheels. With the M Sport package, it gives you the blue calipers, nice two-tone design, and as you can hear it beep, it has the proximity key, so a lock and unlock depending on how far away I am from the vehicle. We'll come back to the door handles once we make our way into the interior. And then for this rear, really nice dark housing for those LED taillights. This has the backup camera, all of the sensors, gloss black in the lower section of the diffuser. And then over on the Mercedes Benz, that chrome makes its way through the power trunk lid. They both have power operated trunks. The backup camera is actually hidden, so it's up underneath. You don't see that until you put this into reverse. There's the exhaust along with some more chrome. So overall, I think obviously the Mercedes Benz is a little bit more classy, a little bit more elegant in its style, whereas the BMW is more bold. So if you want something that is going to stand out a little bit more, you have the all-new 7 Series. That is a great option. And so now let's work our way to these interiors. For the all-new 7 Series, it's pretty cool how you have automatic doors. So I can either reach my hand on the inside here, pull on the release, and open the door myself, or just push on that button. For all 4 doors, you can have them automatically open up for you, which I think is very cool. It's a great option to have. You can use the button on the interior to shut the door. You can use the brake pedal for the driver door in order to shut it. So that is very cool to see. For this model, this has a lot of brushed aluminum. There's ambient lighting here with the massaging seats. There's crystal on the seat adjustments. There's all of the window controls, side mirror adjustments. And then we have a black leather interior for this model. You can spec this how you would like to, of course. And taking a look at the driver interior now, I can either push on this button, like I said, or use the brake pedal to shut the door. These doors open up very, very wide, so that is a great feature to have. Now for the steering wheel, solid black leather. This also has the M badge down below. And let's fire this up. So with my foot on the brake, we can bring this to life, where we have the all-new gauge cluster infotainment system that gives you a lot of information to go through. Now, I actually did a full review on both of these vehicles, the i7, the 760i, and my brother did one on the S580. So if you want to see all of these details or further details, check out those specific reviews. I'm not going over all of that information in today's video, but you can see for this gauge cluster, you do get a good amount of information that you can scroll through, just depending on what you'd like to see. You can change the layout as well, so just depending on how you'd like to view this information. And then last one is for the head-up display. So you can further go through that information, again, depending on what you'd like to see. I love how BMWs don't have a ton of technology, but while they do have a ton of technology at the same time, it's easy to go through all of this. It gives you everything that you need. Now over on this side is cruise control, like any other vehicle would really have. And then for the 760i, you do have paddle shifters, and you do also have the boost one as well. So again, being in the i7, it doesn't have that. The 760i has paddle shifters on both sides. Now there's more ambient lighting on that left side there. And then we have this massive infotainment system where you can go through a lot more information. You can scroll through all this. You can add information as needed too. So it's a really nice layout. You can quickly get to your phone and your music, even pull up the navigation to be able to go through all of that information. So again, not a ton of info, but it's easy to go through. There's even some more trim and this color strip that runs throughout the entire dash. This actually lights up. I think that is a really cool interior design. There's a little bit of storage space down below, along with the cup holders that you can close and open. All of the adjustments for that infotainment system. There's volume, the all-new shifter finished off in crystal. This even has the adaptive suspension, which you can raise and lower, and then a few other shortcuts. There's even My Mode, so you can go through all the different driving modes, again, just depending on what you'd like. So all of these functions are really easy to go through. I like the center layout with all the piano black. I think it gives it a really nice look. There's storage in the armrest as well. To get to the glove box, you push on this button here, and it will automatically open up, giving you a good amount of storage space. We also have the full Alcantara headliner too. And if we put this into park just by pushing on that electronic parking brake, we can shut this off. We can push on this button here. We can have the door open up for us. You can see just how wide this is, or how far out that reaches. I have to have my foot out of the vehicle. So I like that there is that automatic button. So that way it just makes it a lot more convenient. Now, as we work our way to the Mercedes Benz, these door handles are actually flush with the vehicle. They will pop out when you need to enter, of course. So I can push on this button to lock them, and you'll see just how flush they are with more of that chrome. Now to get in, all I have to do is swipe my hand on the chrome there, or just underneath it, and you'll see them pop out. And now we can work our way to the interior, where this specific model has the full red leather. So again, just different options, different color choices. It's nice to be able to show you two different, completely different models here. But for this interior, there's all of the seating adjustments, memory seating adjustments, heated and ventilated seats. This also has all of the window controls. There's some headlight adjustments there, just a different layout. Very similar though, with all the technology that is offered. And then we even have the pillow option for all of these seats. That makes it very, very comfortable. Now, one thing I will say on this Mercedes is I actually have to reach for the door. I think it would be very cool because I actually have to reach much farther in order to close this. Is that a positive or a negative? You kind of get spoiled when you have that button there. But let's go ahead and fire this up. Both of these are very, very quiet for having V8 engines. They're more ultra luxurious. You don't really need to hear that exhaust note. But for this model here, we have a split screen design, so different of course from the BMW. Right in the middle, this is the digital gauge cluster where you have a lot of information to go through. I would say a lot more than the BMW. You have different sport modes that you can go into where it completely changes everything. You can look at the navigation, your driver assistance, even service too. So you do have a few more settings that you can go into just to configure it the way that you'd like to. And when you have it on one of these systems or these settings here, if I go into Classic right now, you can further go through information within this. So you can look at some of these vitals just depending on what you'd like to see. So it is a little bit more configurable than over on the BMW, but it still gives you a good amount of info. You have all these adjustments on both sides, just like on the BMW. It's very easy to go through all of those, and it has the paddle shifters as well. On this left side, a little bit less controls. There's only the electronic parking brake down below. And then for the center screen, I really like this all new system from Mercedes. I think this is easy to use even with the amount of technology that you have to go through. So you can see some of these apps right now. If I click on this car up top, it'll actually show you places where you'd like to go, just depending on what you need to see. You can swipe this down too and look at some other information. What I love about this too is you can actually have some voice commands, which you might be able to do on the BMW. I haven't figured that out. Hey Mercedes.
How may I help you?
Please open sunshades.
I'm opening the roller sun blind on the sliding sunroof.
How cool is that? I messed with this a little bit last night. You can also change the ambient lighting color. It's gonna be hard to see during the day. You can turn on and off the reading lights too. So that's a pretty cool gimmick. I think a lot of vehicles do offer that, which is nice to have. And then the layout for this underneath, you have the different driving modes that you can easily get to. There's the camera button that you can look at for the 3D camera system, and then the volume adjustments. So just a little bit different layout, but still gives you everything that you need. More piano black, as you saw over on the BMW. This even has a wireless charging pad though. There's a good amount of storage space right in the middle as well. So it is pretty similar. We have the manual adjusting glove box, however, and just a nice interior. Alcantara up on the headliner there, but I love these pillows. It is a very comfortable interior. And then we have the gear changes on the stalk here instead of down in the center. Mercedes usually has that, which is much different. And then to hop out, if I want to open the door all of the way, I have plenty of room to enter and exit. I just have to now manually do it. But let's work our way to these back seats now. So for the BMW, I can just push on that button. It does take a second to open up, but you also have all these sensors too, so that way this will not open up into other vehicles or anything like that. What I love about the back seats though, is that we have a lot of different modes to go through. Let me shut this door so that way you can see them, and I can just push on that button, and now we have it closed. So essentially we have this small cell phone in the door panel where you can go through your modes, your displays. You can even control all of the blinds, just depending on, if you want a little bit more privacy, you can raise and lower those. You can do all of them at the same time too. You can even go to the theater display. So if I go to modes and fold this down, so by pushing on that, now of course this is an option. It's right around $4,000 if you want this entire screen. So of course that will drive up the price for the base MSRP on this system. But you have some pretty cool things that you can go through, and you can easily fold this up out of the way. Again, check out the full detailed review if you want to see everything about that screen. And so I think this is really cool. You have the creature comforts that you need, including all the climate adjustments for your backseat passengers. You have the all new release handle. There's also a manual one in case the battery dies, but you have an ample amount of space in the back. And then if I open this up, this even has a good amount of storage in the back section. There are 2 cup holders just in front of that. You can even gain access through the trunk if you need that space. So I love the amount of room for the back of the all new 7 Series. And it makes it so much easier to film when I don't have to worry about opening and closing that door. Now, as we work our way to the back of the S580, I will say I was in the back of this car for about 45 minutes, and I really like how comfortable this is. You have the heated and ventilated seats, all the memory seating adjustments too. For your backseat passengers, that's pretty impressive to see. Some features that you didn't see over on the BMW. However, with that being said, there are some creature comforts that are missing in this Mercedes. There are no cup holders for your backseat passengers. You have a little bit of storage, just like you saw in the BMW. You have a spot where you could maybe place your phone, which I think is a little bit of a gimmick. This should be cup holders. You do have access to the trunk space like you saw over on the BMW, but there's no cup holders back here. There's a little bit of storage. So I think cup holders would be very beneficial, but you also have some other functions that are not on the BMW. So it really just depends on what you'd like. But these back seats are so comfortable. I have plenty of room. This would be a nice place to be chauffeured around, just like the BMW. And the one thing that I will say is that the middle seat here doesn't look to be the most comfortable. So if you did have someone in the middle seat, this is not the place you want to be. Try to get a seat on the side. It's just a little bit awkward with this sticking out. It should be a little bit more flush, but it's still an incredible place to be. I really don't have any other complaints other than that. And as we work our way to the cargo space now, we'll come back to the 760i, where you can push right here and this will open up and you have an ample amount of space. Now the back seats do not fold down, but there's that cutout if you need it. So you have plenty of room. This is a massive vehicle. You can definitely fit a lot of items in the cargo. And then same with the Mercedes Benz. So if we open this up, you get all of this room, very, very similar. It might be a little bit tighter on the sides, but again, for the size of this, you have plenty of room. There's even some storage up underneath the floor that you do not get over on the BMW. So interesting to see that. But with the push of a button, we can close that up just like over on the BMW. So with the exteriors and the interiors wrapped up, let's get both of these ultra luxurious sedans out on the road, see which one is better and why. And with it in sport mode, here we go. You can definitely feel the weight, but even though it weighs around 5,000 pounds, being a sedan versus an SUV like what you see in front of me, it has a lower center of gravity. So I feel like it can handle these turns much nicer, even though it has that heavy curb weight to it. Now, this isn't a vehicle that you're going to take to the track or you want to do spirited driving with, but it does have some capabilities with that weight to handle turns at normal rates of speed very nicely. And it's also going to do that very comfortably at the same time. It is so comfortable and quiet. You really don't hear anything aside from what's happening on the inside of this interior. A little bit. And for that $120,000 price tag, I think it's justifiable. When I was in the i7, that model that I was in was about $141 and it was fully loaded. It had the theater screen, a lot of other exterior trim pieces compared to this model here. And I absolutely thought that that i7 was well worth the price, because at that level, you're competing with Bentleys, other luxury brands that are even higher than BMW. And on a side note, that U-turn was so quick, you can feel the rear end kick out with the steering. But when you compare BMW to some of those next level, to some people, BMW is that next level. And then you go to Bentegas, you go to the Lamborghini Uruses, you go to that level of luxury and performance in a sense. Rolls-Royce even. The BMW is a bargain. And as we switch over to the S580 now, I feel like I have a lot more to talk about behind the wheel of this, because for the 760 that you just saw, I was mainly doing the full review, so I didn't have the comparison idea at the time. So now that I've been behind the wheel of the 760, the i7, and now this S580, I honestly think that both of them are very, very nice, especially for the price point. Now, the differences in the 760 and the i7, the one that you saw today, and of course the 760, there was about a $20,000 difference between those. The i7 was closer to $140,000, and it had a lot more options in it, like that theater screen and a few other goodies. So the model we're in today here is right around $122,000. So it's more in line with the 760 that I drove. The i7 was a lot more, but of course you can get some other options, but I think that the BMW is going to cost a good bit more I haven't seen any other options for this particular model to drive it up another 20 grand. But for the Mercedes that we're in, I've had a good amount of seat time behind the wheel of this and even in the back seats. I really do not have any complaints aside from not being able to open and close the doors, which you kind of get a little spoiled if you are in the 7 Series and you use that. Once you hop into something without it, it's kind of interesting to have to do that manual labor again. But for the S580, this is a fantastic sedan. It is so nice to drive. You're buying this because of what it's like to drive, how comfortable it is, how smooth it is, the power delivery when you're getting up to speed, even the smoothness of these paddle shifters. So if we give it a little bit of gas here from first, you really can't feel those shifts because it is that smooth. It is so cool to see. Now if I push on the dynamic button here, we can actually go to Sport Plus. I think we are just in comfort, so we'll try it again. There's no, like, it's just smooth going up through the gears. It is so nice, and I think that the BMW is just as nice. It really just comes down to your brand loyalty. Do you like Mercedes Benz? Do you like BMW? I will say that the Mercedes has a lot more technology, even with the interior ambient lighting strip, and you can see that really nice at nighttime. I'll throw in a clip here so you can see what it's like. But Mercedes has a lot more lighting in their models. Compared to the BMW, it's a little bit more laid back, a little bit more subtle. And a BMW does that because they don't want all of those bright lights, especially when you drive at night. Now, on the caveat of that, I will say driving this at night, the lights aren't that distracting and that bright to where it makes it a big deal. So if you want a little bit more of that flashy look, you can go with the Mercedes Benz. The BMW is going to be a little bit more laid back and it's going to be a little bit more sporty. So the Mercedes, while we do have the same V8, or a similar V8 I should say, not quite as sporty feeling as the 760i will be. You can get an M760i, I believe, or the M Sport package for that model to be a little bit more sporty feeling. You can't really do that with this Mercedes and this exact model. So it's nice that you do have.
Check your Mercedes Me settings.
I don't know.
Online functions of the voice system.
I didn't ask you. So it's nice that you have a distinction. There's a big enough difference between the Mercedes and the BMW to where you might be cross-shopping them, but you got some things where it's like, okay, I want it to be a little bit more refined, or I want it to be a little bit more refined and sporty at the same time. So they are both great options for the price, very similar depending on how you spec them as well. And both are fun to drive. And so with the test drives out of the way, coming back to final thoughts between the S580 and the 7 Series. Honestly, I think both of these are very cool sedans. They each have different technology features available, different options that you can go with, of course, so you can have these spec'd out exactly how you'd like them. And of course, that will change the overall MSRP just depending on what you want for each of these models. The S580 is so incredibly comfortable to drive. It's very comfortable as a passenger, and I really like the features that are available. Same with the 760i though. This is so comfortable to drive. I have a lot more miles on the S580, of course, since we have this for a week, but the BMW, it seems to be very nice. A little bit controversial in its design and some of its features. The Mercedes Benz is a little bit more traditional. Maybe the next year model will be completely different and have some other features that can maybe compete with the all-new 7 Series, like the automatic doors. I think that is a really cool feature to have. But both of these are great ultra luxurious sedans. If you're in the market for basically the top tier for Mercedes or BMW, you want something that is going to be incredibly comfortable, something you might be able to be driven around in, or you just want that ultra luxurious design and feel without going to the next level like Bentleys and other vehicles like that that are much more expensive. So I think the price point for both of these is fair with what they have, all the technology and everything about each of these sedans. So I hope you enjoyed today's video comparing the S580 with the all-new 7 Series. Be sure to check out the full detailed reviews on all three of these cars the 580, the 760i, as well as the i7. Those are all down below. Give this video a huge thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and smash that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our daily uploads. I will see you all in the next video.